Hello and welcome to RC Truth Media. Today in this video we're going to discuss how the petrodollar is failing us and also how our system is trading over. Now, it could be going to a yuan system where China is in charge. We could be going to a crypto-based system, but for sure the dollar is failing. People need to get prepared. Let's discuss a few articles now. Starting, Article 1, Failures of the Petrodollar. This article comes from www.globalresearch.ca/failures of the petrodollar. Africa speculates joining Russia, China, India, and the EU in the de-dollarization of oil trades. So, oil trades, the petrodollar, which is something very important. We're going to go ahead and read this article to you starting now. We reported on March 26 this year that China had finally launched a yuan-dominated oil futures contract after nearly a dozen false starts over a decade. With that approval, the PetroYuan became real, and China set out to challenge the petrodollar for dominance. So there's now a PetroYuan. Russia was already transacting oil in rubles and had been working up those trades since 2015 as a result of sanctions imposed by the West, something that Trump has been doing very much of recently. And these other countries, they will find ways to bypass these sanctions that we have seen in the past. The EU has made arrangements recently to settle Iranian oil trades in euros as a direct result of Washington withdrawing from the Iran nuclear deal. Then just last week we reported that India has agreed a deal to pay for Iranian oil in rupees as the two countries seek to bypass the U.S. economic pressure on Tehran. We also highlighted in our report that China is the world's biggest buyer of oil, America is the second, and India is the third. Whilst the USA buys about 110 billion of oil each year, China and India combined buys nearly 200 billion. The EU, including Britain, buys another 200 billion. Now, it is reported in the New China Daily that there has been a general consensus among some Eastern and Southern African countries that there should be more usage of the Chinese yuan in the African region because of China's growing influence in business and trade. Executive Director of the Macroeconomic and Financial Management Institute of Eastern and Southern Africa, Caleb Fundaga, said a forum for financial experts earlier in the week had agreed that there was need to use the Chinese yuan as a reserve currency because China was playing an active role in their economies. The forum was attended by deputy central bank governors and deputy permanent secretaries of the finance from 14 countries that fall under MEFMI. The general conclusion is that we should use the yuan more because its time has come. We are doing more business with China, so it's natural that we use the currency of the country with which we are trading. Just the way we have been using the US dollar and the euro, we want to use the Chinese currency more in our transactions because it is to our benefit, Fundaga said. He also said use of yuan could protect the region from currency volatilities. It was also agreed that the use of the yuan would come in handy because China was giving loans to the region and other African countries. Fundaga said that there was also discussion on possible currency swaps, the same as what China had achieved in Nigeria, where Nigerians traveling to China could easily access the yuan from their local banks. MEFMI argues that the bulk of reserves for most countries in the region are invested in dollars, yet their composition has not kept pace with the large shifts in the world economy. This is particularly so since China and India continue to shape global economic trends as they remain major trade partners for the region. MEFMI countries compose Angola, Botswana, Burundi, Kenya, Lesotho, Malawi, Mozambique, and all these other rest of these that you see here. It is clear that the de-dollarization is escalating for one reason or another, and as a result, America is in a much weaker position to demand US dollar trades, which it has done for decades. And just how important are oil trades in dollars? Very important. The mechanism underlying today's dollar standard is widely known, and the term petrodollar describes it well. This system is based on an informal agreement the U.S. and Saudi Arabia arrived at in the mid-1970s. The result of this deal oil, and consequently all other important commodities is traded in US dollars, and only in US dollars. Oil producers then recycle these petrodollars into US treasuries. This circular flow of dollars has enabled the US to pile up a towering mountain of debt of nearly $20 trillion without having to worry about its own financial stability, at least until now. The process of moving away from the dollar, prepared by Europe and triggered by China and Russia, can no longer be stopped. That article explained what's going on pretty well. The fact that we're in $20 trillion of debt, and that ever since 1913 we have been in a debt-based system. The Federal Reserve has allowed us to be a debt-based economy, and we have grown more and more into debt. Since 71, we have been completely a fiat system. We're going to go to a different article over here to show you what's going on. You see real quick, show you this one. Trump says America will no longer be the piggy bank that everyone is robbing. That's right, we just can't afford it anymore. Donald Trump concluded his trip to the group of G7 economics conference in Canada with a combative, unscheduled statement in which he promised that the United States would no longer be the piggy bank. We're the piggy bank that everybody's robbing, and that ends it, Trump said. Trump praised the G7 nations for what he described as their efforts to take advantage of weak U.S. leadership. I blame our leaders, and I congratulate leaders of other countries for taking advantage of our leaders, Trump said. It's going to stop, or we'll stop trading with them, and that's a very profitable answer if we have to do it. He said that's a very profitable answer if we have to do it. So if we stop trading with these other 6 countries, and they go and make their own system, which it looks like it's doing, and they start trading with China, and China becomes the currency, and everybody's using the yuan, they're no longer using the dollar, then we won't be able to have the advantage that we have been in the past. How is this going to be an advantage for us? We're not going to be able to get things with the dollar anymore. We are more than likely, if this happens, going to be a nationalized country again, meaning that we're going to have to focus in our country, and we won't be able to get good deals outside of the country. But we'll see what happens, because Trump has been a good businessman, and he's done a lot of good business transactions in the past. He's made a lot of good deals in the past, so we'll see what he can cook up. It says right here, Trump said that America's trading partners would be making a mistake if they retaliated against new U.S. tariffs. If they retaliate, they're making a tremendous mistake, because you see we have a tremendous trade imbalance, he said. The numbers are so much against them, we would win that war 1,000 times out of 1,000. President Trump's public comments Saturday morning reflected his aggressive approach with world leaders Friday night. In private conversation with leaders from France, Canada, the UK, and Japan Friday, Trump countered complaints about U.S. trade policy with detailed list of what he described as unfair trade practices and failures to meet security commitments, according to a person briefed on the matter. I do agree that we have had unfair trade policies all around the world. We've been treated unfairly by the Federal Reserve, but we have also treated a lot of nations unfairly as well. And so we are, in my opinion, just getting the karma that we have put back on other countries. Right here, this is a great article if you'd like to check it out about the creation of the Federal Reserve System. I'm just going to go ahead and show you one thing at the top here. It says, we're now witnessing a meltdown of the global financial system, and the Federal Reserve System, the central bank of the USA, plays a primary role, taking over one private bank after another. Some are talking about a nationalization or even socialization of these banks. Nothing can be even more wrong. Theft by the few from the many is the correct expression. The German poet Heinrich Henry said, "Money is the god of our times, and Rothschild is his puppet." The Federal Reserve System is finally owned by Rothschild in London, the U.S. shareholders being subservient to Rothschild. The shareholders of these banks, which own the stocks of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, are the people who have controlled our political and economic destinies since 1914. They are the Rothschilds of Europe, Lazard Frères, Eugene Mayer, Kuhn Loeb Company, Warburg Company, the Lehman Brothers, Goldman Sachs, the Rockefeller family, and the J.P. Morgan interests. Who and what is the Fed? Yeah, I just thought I'd go on a little bit more. It's pretty interesting. This article is very good if you'd like to go on and check it out. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down a little bit more, so if you'd like, you can go ahead and read the whole thing, because this is a very interesting article. Okay, now I'm going to show you the last article, which is highlighting how the petrodollar is failing. OPEC likely to reject Iran request for discussion of U.S. sanctions. OPEC is likely to reject a request by Iran to discuss U.S. sanctions against Tehran at this month's meeting of the oil producer group, a source familiar with the matter told Reuters. We scroll down, we see Iran's OPEC governor asked the chairman of OPEC board to include a sanctions debate in the agenda for the June 22nd talks, according to a copy of the letter dated June 2nd by Reuters. Last month, Iranian oil minister Bijan Zangana asked OPEC to support it against new U.S. sanctions and signaled Tehran disagreed with Saudi Arabia's views on the possible need to increase global oil supplies. I'd like to seek OPEC support in accordance with Article 2 of the OPEC statute, with emphasis safeguarding the interests of member countries individually and collectively, Zane wrote last month in a letter to his United Arab Emirates counterpart, who holds the OPEC presidency. U.S. President Trump last month pulled out of an international nuclear deal with Iran, announcing the highest level of sanctions against the OPEC member. Iran is the third largest oil producer in the organization of the petroleum exporting countries after Saudi Arabia and Iraq. Oil ministers from OPEC will be meeting at the group's Vienna headquarters to discuss output policy. So here we go, a change in OPEC, which is the main, one of the main support systems of the petrodollar. And so if we see something big happen right here, which we already have, we've already seen President Trump pull out of the Iranian nuclear deal, which that is going to have a huge effect on everything else. So just wanted to show you how all of these articles tie in together, and what it all means is the system, the dollar-based system that we have been in is failing. The petrodollar, the dollar as a global currency reserve is failing. Countries are bypassing the dollar. The dollar has no more value. It's currently worth 4 pennies compared to when it started in 1913. So do something. Everybody, what we can do, write your congressmember, write the people that your city council members. Go ahead and use your voice. Do whatever you can. Get the word out. And another thing you could do is get gold, silver, cryptocurrencies. These are the 3 things that are going to be used as a currency. Also, get gas. So we can see gas is going to go up. Everything's going to go up. So when the system transfers, you're going to need gas and food. Make sure you plant some foods. If you have a backyard, it's a good idea to plant a whole bunch of trees. My grandpa went and planted about 15 fruits and trees and vegetables. So he's going to be set. All our family are going to be set. They're already sprouting vegetables and crops. Thanks a lot for coming to my channel. Hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe. I'll have a donate button below. You can donate to me at PayPal. You can also donate Bitcoin. I'll leave a link for my Bitcoin wallet. Thank you very much, and you have a great day.